Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we got another playoff preview here to discuss. So, supposed to do this one on Tuesday, but due to some complications, we're doing it here today. We're looking at the standings of how it was the night of February 18th, a month before the playoffs, and we're doing our playoff preview based on those standings. We'll go to all that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Now, before we get into it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all of your support. I've never been able to love you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below discussing all discussed in today's video. Now, I was supposed to do this video on Tuesday, but if you heard my last video, we've had some complications doing some stuff with my camera, so hopefully with me fixing it, we can get this done now. So, like we've been doing for the past few months, I'm doing a playoff preview based on the standings a month before the playoffs. So remember, the season ends April 18th, so I was supposed to do this on Tuesday, but we're going to do this here today, but we're going to keep the standings the same. So as of the night of February 18th, so either Monday night or Tuesday morning, whichever one you want to do. And here's what the standings look like at that point in time. So at that point in time, you had the Panthers leading the Atlantic Division with a 691 points percentage, followed by 688 Boston and 644 Toronto. You had 691 points percentage New York Rangers leading the Metro, followed by 662 Carolina and 560 Washington. You have first wild card being 582 Tampa, second wild card being 559 Philadelphia, and the wildcard teams on the outside looking in right now were 545 NYI, 544 Detroit, 515 Pittsburgh, 514 Buffalo, 500 New Jersey, 455 Montreal and Ottawa, and 419 Columbus. Those are teams on the outside looking in. If you look at the Western Conference, you had 679 Winnipeg, 669 Colorado, and 659 Dallas, top three teams in the Central. You had the Pacific Division leader Vancouver Canucks at 676, followed by 646 Edmonton, and 590 LA. Those were top three teams in the Pacific. Then you had 603 points percentage Nashville first wild card, 590 points percentage Vegas second wild card, and they were followed by 551 St. Louis, 544 Minnesota, 522 Calgary, 507 Seattle, 449 Arizona, and eliminated Anaheim, Chicago, and San Jose. And those were teams also looking in the Western Conference. So if you take a look at the standings and how the playoff picture would shape up as of Monday night, Tuesday morning, so the standings would shape up like this. You have the New York Rangers first in the Eastern Conference, hosting second wildcard Philadelphia. You'd have Florida, who is the other division winner, taking on first wildcard Tampa. You have second in the Atlantic, Boston taking on third in the Atlantic, Toronto, and you'd have second in the Metro, Carolina taking on third in the Metro, Washington. And the Western side, you'd have first in the West, Winnipeg, taking on the second wildcard, which is the Golden Knights. You have other division winner Vancouver taking on the Nashville Predators, who are first wildcard. You'd have second in the Central, Colorado taking on third in the Central, Dallas, and you have second in the Pacific, Edmonton taking on third in the Pacific, LA. So lots of intriguing matchups here. We'll start in the Eastern Conference. Here's how I would see it going if the standings were to stay like this way at this point in time. So in the Eastern Conference, like we said, you have the Rangers taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. I think that was probably a Rangers win. I think the Flyers are a really good team, but I don't think they have the firepower to be a team like the New York Rangers in a 7-game series. I mean, the Rangers are above and beyond a way better team. They have the better goaltending. They have probably the better defense. They have definitely a way more lethal offense. I would say in probably a 5-game series, maybe a 4-game series, the Rangers will probably wind up winning over the Philadelphia Flyers. That's an interesting series, but I would definitely say the Rangers have what it takes to beat them. Caps and Canes, once again, it would be an interesting series, but I would also say Canes should probably handily beat the Caps. It should be an easy series, but once again, like I said before, I think it'll be a handedly, easily series for the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, Caps are a decent team, but they have a really bad points percentage. They can't score, and with the additions the Carolina Hurricanes have made, they're a lot more lethal. So at this point in time, I'll probably say Carolina wins in like probably 5 games as well. So you'd have a Carolina New York Rangers second round matchup. You'd also have the Florida Panthers taking on Tampa Bay Lightning. Now I know Tampa beat Florida in the last couple of weeks, but I would at this point in time still pick the Florida Panthers. I think that the Panthers are a more complete team. They have a really good goaltender, both teams do, but they have a way better and way more deep blue line. And I think at this point in time you can argue that the Panthers may have a better and more deep forward group than the Bolts do. So at this point in time, I think the Panthers will be able to take down the Bolts. So I would have probably in 6 games Florida being Tampa, and then Boston, Toronto. I think that'll be a 7-game series. I think it'll be a really good back and forth series. And at this point, I'll probably say actually Toronto wins. I know it might be a surprise to some people. I think Toronto has what it takes to wind up downing the Boston Bruins. You know, Boston probably has better goaltending, and they probably have a little bit more of a complete team. But after what I saw last year with against the Florida Panthers, I can't overly guarantee that they are a fantastic playoff team. And on top of that, they did not address their center depth before the trade deadline. So I'm going to go with Toronto at 7 after exercising one of their demons and winning a first-round series last year. They finally win a series against against the Boston Bruins. So that's my second playoff prediction. So then you have the Florida-Toronto rematch in their second round, and you have the Rangers taking on the Hurricanes. At this point in time, I'll probably say the Hurricanes beat the Rangers. I think the Hurricanes' in-season additions have been actually quite good against Kuznetsov. I think they could easily help this team make it to the Eastern Conference Final again. I mean, it'll be an interesting series. It'll be a really good series. I think it'll be a long 6 or 7 game series against the Rangers, but I do think that the Carolina Hurricanes might have just enough to get by the Rangers, so I'd have them winning that series. You have the Panthers and Leafs rematch. I think this one will also be a 6 or 7 game series, not as quick as it was last year, but I do have the Panthers also winning again this year. I mean, at this point in time, the Leafs have a really good team, but with the way the Panthers are playing right now, I do not see them being able to beat the Panthers. So you'd have the Panthers taking on the Rangers in the Eastern Conference Final. Going over to the Western side, first you'd have the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Vegas Golden Knights, and I think the Jets match up really well against a lot of teams. Vegas ain't one of them. Vegas handily defeated them last year. I think it will be a really close series this year, especially with the additions that the Jets have made. But it's a 7 game series. I would think that the Golden Knights do end up winning. I think it'll be a hard-fought series. I think it'll be a back-and-forth series, but I do think that will be the Knights over the Jets. If you look at the Avalanche and the Stars, those two teams are really, really good, and that would be for sure a 7 game series. At this point in time, I'll take the Colorado Avalanche. I think they have a little bit more offensive firepower and a little bit more oomph at this point in time than the Dallas Stars do, but it'll be interesting to see if Dallas will be able to pull off. I think it'll be a 7 game series. I think it'll be a toss-up, but at this point in time, I would say the Avalanche would. So I'll set up a second round matchup of the Avalanche and the Golden Knights. Going over to the Western Conference side, you have Vancouver taking on Nashville. Now, as much as Nashville's on a heater right now, and they've looked absolutely fantastic, I still think Vancouver's the better team. Saros is a really good goaltender. I think he would definitely be able to keep Nashville in a game or two, but I think Vancouver has a lot more firepower offensively than Nashville does. I think you could argue that Nashville probably has a better defense, but still, both teams are really good goaltenders, and I think with the offensive firepower more in the favor of the Vancouver Canucks, they'll be able to take the victory. So I have Vancouver winning that one. And then we have the Edmonton Oilers taking on the LA Kings. That's an interesting one. The Oilers are trying to look to go very deep this year, but the one team I think the Oilers still really don't match up against besides Vegas is Los Angeles. I mean, the Kings went into this offseason with the intent to build a team that could beat the Edmonton Oilers in the first round, and I think they could do that. I know that they don't have overly great goaltending in Talbot, and their defense is a little bit weak, but I think their offensive firepower could contend with the offensive firepower like Edmonton. And as much as I think that Edmonton would be a really hard out, I do have the LA Kings taking that series in probably 6 or 7 games again. So in my opinion, I do have the Kings narrowly edging out the Oilers in that sort of a series. Then you have a second round matchup of Vancouver and LA and Colorado and Vegas. And Colorado and Vegas, that'll be another grueling 7 game series between those teams. I do think the Golden Knights will be able to come out on top. I think it'll be very close. I think once again it's another toss-up, but I think with the Knights' playoff experience and them getting a little bit healthier as they go forward, I think they will be able to down the Colorado Avalanche. And I also think a big factor in that is that Georgiev has been playing a ton this year, while Hill and Thompson have both been splitting time, so whoever's the starter in the playoffs will be a little more rested than Georgiev is. So I do think the Knights will be able to get by the Colorado Avalanche, go to the conference final. Going over to Vancouver and LA, I think both teams are really good. Both teams haven't won a playoff series in forever, so to see both of them win a playoff series would be quite nice. But I do have the Canucks being the Kings. I think the Canucks have a way better goaltending in Demko than Talbot. Both teams have decent defensive groups. I think the Canucks do have the edge on the forward group, and with that being in mind, I think the Canucks will be able to hold down the fort defensively, while score enough to outscore the LA Kings. So in that series, I'll probably say it's a 5 or 6 game series, but I do think the Canucks will be able to down the Kings. So outside a Western Conference final matchup of Canucks and Golden Knights, and an Eastern Conference final matchup of Panthers and Hurricanes. Now at this point in time, I would say Panthers beat the Hurricanes. They're really good. They're the first team in the Atlantic Division, not the Eastern Conference though, and I do think that it will be a really interesting series there for the Panthers to oust the Carolina Hurricanes again for a second straight year. I think it will be a closer series, and I think the Carolina Hurricanes will definitely be able to score a lot more than they did last year. But I do think it'll be the Panthers going to the Stanley Cup final, probably in like a 6 or 7 game series. Same sort of thing with the Canucks and Golden Knights. It'll be a longer series. I'll probably say a 6 game series. But with the Golden Knights and the way they had to get out of the Central Division, that's a gauntlet. I think that they would be tired enough that the Canucks will be able to take advantage of that. They have a little bit of a better goaltending situation. They could probably contend with the Golden Knights for depth. So I think the Canucks will be able to just barely edge out the Golden Knights in the Western Conference Final to go to their first Stanley Cup final since 2011. So I would say the Panthers are able to go back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, and I would say the Canucks are able to get back to the Stanley Cup final, so I would say that would be interesting. And in the final, I would say that the Panthers will probably be able to be the Canucks. I think the team coming out of the East might have a little bit of an easier road than the team coming out of the West, so I think they may be a little more rejuvenated, and I think that the Panthers would be able to, probably in 6 or 7 games, beat the Canucks. I think both teams have really good forward groups. The Panthers have a little bit of a better defense. Both teams have solid goaltenders, so I think it'll be a really tight series, a really hard-fought series, and I think the Panthers will be able to beat the Canucks to win their first ever Stanley Cup. So just to recap here, just that as the standings as of Monday night or Tuesday morning from this past week, that was my playoff preview, and I have the Canucks going to the Stanley Cup final from the West, the Panthers going to the Stanley Cup final from the East, and the Panthers winning their first ever Stanley Cup. So that's my predictions. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this down in the comment section below. With the standings as they were Monday night or Tuesday morning, whichever one you want to say, who do you think would have gone to the Stanley Cup final? Could it be Florida? Could it be Vancouver? Could it be a couple of other teams? Definitely, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on who you think will go to the Stanley Cup final as of the standings, as of late night on Monday, down in the comment section below. So I'm going to talk about today. Remember to like this video, and if you're remember to subscribe down below. Thank you for your support and really with you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below discussing all discussed in today's video. I also have a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So if you check that out, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.